Test Drive with Graham Fletcher.
The 1990 Acura Integra is advertised as being bred from Formula One stock. This week on Test Drive, we're going to find out if that is fact or fiction.
The Integra features an advanced independent suspension setup that gives the car superior handling characteristics. When pushed through the pylons, the car responded predictably with a nice neutral feel. As the suspension is tuned on the firm side, the ride becomes a little uncomfortable on broken pavement, but at highway speeds it has a stable feel that inspires confidence. I would prefer a little less assist from the power steering. Reducing the amount of assist would have improved the feedback immensely. Well, we just accomplished a 100k sprint in about 9.2 seconds. And when you bear in mind that this car features an automatic transmission, that's very respectable indeed. Honda developed their own anti-lock brake system, which during our test proved to be as good as any, with stops averaging a commendable 106 feet from 80 kilometers an hour. If there were a criticism, it would be with the amount of kickback felt through the pedal. For some, the amount may be disconcerting. The Integra's new automatic transmission features 3 modes: Sport 3, Sport 4 and Drive. In either of the Sport modes, each gear is held a little longer to improve acceleration. Drive is basically to improve economy. The unit in our test car left a bit to be desired. Under light to moderate acceleration, the upshifts were abrupt and uncoordinated, almost as though the transmission was not quite sure which gear it was supposed to be in. Under harder acceleration conditions, though, the shift did smooth out. The Integra, like most automatics, features a shift lock, meaning you can't shift out of park till you put your foot firmly on the brake. However, unlike most, you can actually shift from neutral into drive without your foot on the brake. Typical of a lot of recent Honda products, the driver is seated low down. This, combined with a very low hood line, makes the car feel a bit like a sophisticated go-kart. Now, this is not a criticism because it makes the driver feel almost a part of the car. A well-deserved 10 to the designers for dumping the pop-up headlights and incorporating some very attractive flush-fitting units. I like the idea that you must use the ignition key to release either side of the split-folding rear seat. This, combined with the lock on the remote trunk release, keeps your parcels nice and safe. Honda have built a reputation for their dashboards. They're clean, clear and very legible. The Integra is a model example. The heater worked well on the whole, but the rotary dial made fine-tuning of the system a little awkward. Generally, the slide-type controls work better. If you happen to be 5'10" or over, you're going to find the amount of headroom in the 1990 Integra somewhat on the tight side. I kept finding my head bashing the edge of the sunroof here. Let's now go to the scoreboard and find out what I thought of the rest of the 1990 Integra. The Integra's 1.8-litre engine is peppy once you reach the power band, but it is a little lacking in low-end torque. On the whole, though, a flexible engine that loves to rev, and it is a definite improvement over last year's 1.6-litre unit. The Honda-developed anti-lock brake system worked to near perfection during testing. The stops were straight and unflustered, with only a little bit of kickback felt in the pedal. The new Integra is very proficient in the handling department. Honda's sophisticated independent wishbone suspension walks that fine line between comfort and performance very nicely. Because the engine works best higher up in the rev range, there is quite a lot of engine noise evident nearly all the time. Wind noise, on the other hand, is almost non-existent. We averaged 33 miles per gallon or 8.6 litres per 100 kilometers. Very respectable given the overall performance. A definite improvement over last year's Integra. The handling characteristics and high-end performance offered by the engine give this Integra the much sought-after ingredients needed.
Test Drive with Graham Fletcher.
This week on Test Drive, we look at the newest member of the Acura family. Now, this vehicle will slot directly between the Legend and Integra, and as with those two vehicles, this car has a very sporty influence. This is, of course, the 1992 Acura Vigor.
Acura has approached the suspension settings by employing the opposite to the norm.
They have opted to use soft spring rates and firm damping characteristics rather than vice versa. The result is pleasing to say the least, if a little firm. In the pylon test, the Vigor tracked a steady, stable line that yielded no nasty surprises. Also improving things here are the engine placement. By mounting it longitudinally, Acura have achieved a 60-40 weight distribution. This helps counteract the nose-heavy feel associated with most front-wheel drive vehicles, and so the tendency to plough at the limit is minimal. On washboard-type pavement, however, the car feels a little skittish, and if you push it under these circumstances, some torque steer becomes evident, but never causes any real concern.
As you can see, this engine features 5 intake runners, meaning that it's a 5-cylinder engine. Why a 5-cylinder? Well, according to Honda, a straight 6 was too long and too heavy, and they didn't want the roughness associated with a large displacement 4-cylinder. So there you have it, 176 horses from a 5-cylinder engine.
In the 100k dash, the Vigor turned in times a little over 8.5 seconds. Generally, the throttle response is good, although below 3,000 RPM, the engine feels a little lazy. Above this figure, the engine pulls strongly past the 6,800 RPM red line to the 7,100 RPM fuel shutoff point. The Vigor uses a 4-wheel disc brake system that features Honda's 6th generation ABS system. On the skid pad, the whole setup provided straight, fade-free stops that averaged a scant 113 feet. The thought and design work that went into the interior is to be commended. The Vigor comes with a standard supplemental restraint system in the form of a driver's side airbag. The instrument cluster features a complete set of analog gauges that are easy to interpret at a glance, and all driver controls fall readily to hand. Above the rear view mirror is a small but very welcome sun visor. Flanking the interior light, you can see 2 of the numerous speakers used in the Vigor's unique digital signal processor sound system. This system uses a 16-bit microprocessor to convert an analog signal into a digital one. Some of these pre-selected settings, most notably the church setting, are unusable because of the amount of distortion. As far as the seating is concerned, there is ample room and comfort up front. The rear passengers will find the legroom offered a little tight, especially if the front seats are anywhere near fully back. Headroom is also at a premium, especially in the GS, because the standard sunroof deprives you of almost an inch of headroom. 6-footers would just not have the space required. The trunk is spacious and features a nice low liftover. While the Vigor lacks folding rear seats, it does provide a pass-through suitable for skis, as well as a ski sack complete with its own briefcase.
My pet peeve on the Vigor has to do with this grab handle. Not only is it located in a very vulnerable spot as far as the driver's concerned, it's also rock hard. What they should have done is use the softer collapsible type they've got in the back. Out of the scoreboard for a rundown on the 1992 Acura Vigor.
Honda's new 5-banger provides sufficient power to give the Vigor better than average performance. The 8.5 seconds required to reach the 100k mark is significantly better than most of the immediate competition. The handling characteristics displayed do the Vigor and the designers credit. The weight distribution of fully independent wishbone suspension, combined with the good feedback provided, ensures predictability. However, the firm nature of this whole setup will only be appreciated by true sports car enthusiasts. The Vigor required just 113 feet to stop from 80 kilometers an hour. The pedal is easy to modulate, and when the ABS is activated, the kickback and pulsation are kept to a minimum. In short, an excellent setup. The seat, suspension and general interior design give the Vigor a comfortable feel. The lack of wind noise and minimal engine noise also contribute to the overall ambience. Unfortunately, we did not have the Vigor long enough to establish an accurate fuel economy. The Vigor is a well-conceived vehicle. It offers better than average handling characteristics and a good power-to-weight ratio, all of which is housed in a very attractive package. Unlike most, I think the Vigor has a very promising future.